Hey, good evening, guys. We're back just a few minutes late. Sometimes I can't get things started right on schedule. Outside things come up, and I have to kind of deal with those when they do happen. But here we are, and just another clear, very warm evening here in our part of Texas. And let's check out the surface chart at this time. And what we have is a pressure gradient, or a thermal gradient, way up in the northern states and in the central U.S. right there. It's a very large, pronounced gradient, and it's pretty much dividing a lot of cold air up in Canada from warm air in the southern U.S. and in the southwest U.S. So those of you who are familiar with the webcast, you probably remember that we kind of used this as a starting point for our weather analysis, and there's a warm front. Looks like it's over the New York City area back to Buffalo, and then a dense area. So a couple possibilities. So this is kind of anomalous, basically just the little bit of cool weather there in Southern California and Southern Nevada there. But we definitely know that there's some cold air up in the Pacific Northwest, and then the very cold Canadian air up in the north central part of the U.S. We've had some thunderstorms go through the Midwest today, and this is the radar from SPC. And let me go back and let's pull up a CAPE. Let's see, most unstable CAPE. We'll do that. So there's the current conditions, and we see CAPE of about 1,000 through Illinois. And earlier it looked a little bit different. Let me see if I can run the trends back. Yeah, this is earlier, about 22Z, so this would be about 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. And you can see the cells looked a lot more discrete out in Missouri. And CAPEs were on the order of about, probably right around 1,500 there. Let's take a look at some soundings, and what we'll do is we'll head out to Wilmington. And before we look at soundings, especially when we have precip in the area, it's a good idea to look at where exactly the station is. So let me see if I can bring up the time here on the chart. Okay, that's going to be 2Z. And there's 22Z. It looks like our Wilmington station is somewhere in here, probably not in the deeper precip up in west central Ohio, but it's a little bit out ahead of that line. So there's our sounding there at Wilmington from about an hour or two ago. Hold on, hang just a second here. Okay. So what are we looking at for downburst potential? Because some of these cells, they do have a little bit of a kind of a bow shape, maybe on one of the segments on that line there. So let's check out the sounding right there. And what we notice is there's not really a whole lot of dry air aloft. I'm going to have to bring up that sounding once again. Let me try recalling that. Let's see, 72, Wilmington, Ohio. There we go. And I did it again. I'm so used to drawing on these charts, and Rayop does not like to interact with that key there that I'm pressing. So you'll just kind of have to follow along. Okay, so there's Wilmington. The wet bulb temperature falls between the dew point and the temperature, so it's going to fall basically right in the middle right there, and I should be able to plot that. Let me bring this up and plot the wet bulb. Okay, so there's the wet bulb reading. When we have dry air in the mid-levels, we're going to find the dew point way out here to the left side, and we're also going to find the wet bulb out in that area too. So let me see if I can copy this to the clipboard. Maybe I can draw on it in Paint Shop Pro. Okay, there we go. All right, so what we do is we take the 700 millibar wet bulb temperature, and we basically just bring that down to 1,000 millibars. And we notice that it stays actually very close to the temperature line there. So that's painting out a very low downdraft cape. So you see there's kind of a small area in there. If we have dry air aloft up in this area here, we're going to find the wet bulb line way over to the left. And as a result, we would have a wet bulb trace kind of like that. And let me see if I can plot that graphically for you guys. That might be a better way of doing this. Let me see what options we have here in Rayop. This is a program that I'm using called Rayop. Hang on a second. Let me move this out of the way here. Okay. Let me see if I have downdraft cape on here. I've got cape there, and it looks like a very low cape, and you can see some of the positive area right there. And just a little bit of convective inhibition right there at 850 millibars. And I don't think we can plot downdraft cape on this, but anyway, the main thing is that there's very little dry air aloft, and I think if I take you to the severe listings, we can actually look at the value itself, and there's the D cape right there at 469, which is going to be kind of on the low side. For high wind gust potential, we're going to want to see that probably up in the thousands today. All right, let's look at weather elsewhere around the country. We'll check out the southwestern U.S., where the weather is a little bit in question. Okay. Let's see there, 23Z, that's going to be the current conditions, and we do see kind of a westerly flow there. I don't see anything here that suggests a front, but the San Joaquin Valley does look rather mild. And that tends to be kind of a hot place, and there's the temperature scale right there. And there's the afternoon conditions. So we've got kind of a light orange color that corresponds to 60-degree readings. That's pretty cool. So we can pretty safely assume that the San Joaquin Valley is back behind a front. So that means our front is anywhere between here and maybe central Arizona. So there's kind of a process there of narrowing things down, and what I would want to do is look at trends at some of the stations there. It's definitely evident where the front is in the central U.S. You can see it parked right there over Oklahoma towards the Red River. And let's check out Texas. Warm as usual, and we do have a downslope component there. And then over the eastern U.S., ridging across Georgia there and Alabama, and Florida there, catching some of the northerly flow on the east side of that ridge there. So that's probably bringing a little bit milder temperatures down into that area there. Let me make sure that was the current chart. Yeah, that's right. Okay. And then for the northeast U.S., southerly flow and starting to develop in advance of the next system. And there's a little bit of that ridging right there along the east coast. Okay, hang on. Okay, there we go. There's a quick look at SPC storm reports for today. A couple of tornadoes here and there from Toledo down to about Mattoon, Illinois. Lots of hail reports. north of I-70 there. Or would that be I-70? I-70 runs kind of like that. I'm not sure what the highway's numbers are, but I'm thinking of the highway up there north of Indianapolis. That's where a lot of the hail reports are concentrated. All right, let's bring this up to the satellite imagery, and we'll take a look what's going on right now. And let me check in here on the chat. Got 20 people in tonight, and a lot of activity in the comments here. Ryan joining us there. A mix of variety of weather today. Adam Davis getting the still potent remains of today's severe weather there in western Pennsylvania. Electric Dog is checking in, and Ryan Toomey's enjoying a peaceful Sunday. Impressive looking supercell across Indiana today. Sue M there in Indiana. Severe weather today. 1-inch hail, 2 tornado warnings, torrential rain, and a photo. Yeah, I haven't been on my email this weekend. But, yeah, things have been really busy with this book here. I'll see if I can find that a little bit later. Carl Berghoff is with us, and Bobby Coleman here in Texas. Welcome. Indiana hit really hard today from Ryan. Adam Davis listening to rain and thunder there in Clarion, Pennsylvania. And I actually know where that is. I have a friend that's from the Clarion, Brookville area. Fun with Tech is with us, and let's see here. If this had happened in Texas, Tim would have done a special on it. Yeah, probably. The severe weather started early today around 10 a.m. Central Time. Mr. Manlin is with us. Looks like a violent wedge. Tornado hit Salina, Ohio earlier. Tornado's 20 miles from Sioux. Mr. Manlin in northern Illinois. Nothing happened there. Ryan's mentioning a nice large wedge on the ground today. Adam Davis says it's northeast of Muncie. Andrew Hotchkiss says tornado watch 20 miles northwest of Pittsburgh was canceled an hour or so ago. And thanks, Ryan, for sending the video. I'll have to check that out in a little bit. And let's see here. I'm only about a third of the way through the comments, so let me just kind of scroll through here very quickly. Ron Chalfant and Mike R. joining us, and Thomas Copeland. Stream is out. Back on. Okay, so... Okay, so I guess we probably took a hit here about 10 minutes ago. I'm looking at it, and let's see. Let me see when that outage was. 8:07 p.m. until 8:09 p.m. Okay, good. We were only down for 2 minutes there. Okay, so yeah, Sarah Wood says I-70 runs into 465 around Indianapolis. 8 more likes needed. Yeah, thanks. If you can do a like, would appreciate that. And thanks, Ron and Sarah and Adam Davis says everybody seems to know somebody from around here. All right, I think I've gone through most of the text there, so let's move on. And you've been looking at these infrared satellite images for the past 5 minutes or so, and there's the cold tops there from about Columbus to just south of Dayton and about just southeast of Indianapolis there, and those are moving off to the east-northeast. with the temperature starting to diminish and drop, Cape values going down, and that's definitely having an effect there. Here's the water vapor imagery, and looks like some sign there of the subtropical jet. So that's starting to make an appearance there. Winds picking up in the upper troposphere, and let's pull up a sounding. I think what I'll do is I'll pull up the Midwest earlier this morning. Let's check out Wilmington earlier in the day, and yeah, it looks like earlier Wilmington did have a little bit of dry air aloft there. But the lapse rates, they look moist adiabatic there. So not a whole lot of instability there, but when it comes to tornadoes, shear is much more important. And it does look like, for the most part, kind of a unidirectional plot there, but you really need to bring this up on the hodograph to see what's going on. And I do see 40 knots there at only about 3,000 feet. So that's definitely significant there. All you need is a little bit of turning in the lowest kilometer of the atmosphere. So let's see what these are the winds coming out of about 190 there in Kentucky. This is a good representation of probably what was over Ohio and Indiana earlier today. So that contrasting with these 240 at 40 knot winds, yeah, that's definitely going to be enough turning, enough curvature in the hodograph to really bring that storm relative helicity up in that part of the country. And we could use another ray-up station around there. This is really kind of a poor distribution. If Wilmington is out, then there's pretty much nothing in the Midwest. So, what you can do is you can use numerical data, and a really good source is to go to the high-resolution rapid refresh. And let me see if I can bring that up real quick. Okay, so here's the high-resolution rapid refresh, and we can back that up to earlier in the afternoon. So this is one good way of looking at the hodograph plots, and we'll check out Ohio there. And people talking about Salina, Ohio. Let me figure out exactly where that is. Okay, that's going to be up in the northwest part, just west-northwest of Columbus, near the state line. So let's check out the forecast. The forecast hodograph. Okay, I'm not too sure what time that tornado was, but I'm going to go with maybe 21Z here, about 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So let me put that on the Salina area. And that might be a little bit too late. Okay. Doesn't seem to be bringing up anything here. Soundings are turned off. Maybe I need to zoom in here. No forecast soundings offered. Okay, it must be the earlier products where we have that problem, because now they're coming up here. Except now that the storms are through that part of Ohio. Okay, they're off here. Okay, sorry about this. I guess we are limited. We're just going to have to look at some of the 20Z stuff, and I'm going to put this a little bit ahead of the line around Columbus. And there we go. This should give us some forecast soundings. And yeah, it's definitely curved. There's 0. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. And the 0 through 1 kilometer segment is really what's critical there. So mostly it's dominated by speed shear here, but there's a little bit of directional shear. And then once you get up to 1.5 kilometers, then we do get some directional turning. And that profile could be a little bit different elsewhere in Ohio there. And it's forecasting tornado there on the the significant tornado prediction algorithm. And we can see that the main contributor to that is storm relative helicity, low lifted condensation level right there, very humid conditions there, and also probably just those two there. That would be the main contributors there to the tornado potential. So there you go. All right, so let's go ahead and do the forecast here. There goes our outbound thunderstorms there. So during the day tomorrow, high pressure moving into some parts of the Midwest. And then tomorrow evening, we'll have that front there from the East Coast through Tennessee and Arkansas, just kind of stationary there along the Red River. And then things getting a little bit active there in Utah and Colorado. Probably got our front somewhere there in Arizona, the deserts. And then for Tuesday, we're now starting to see the front move into Texas there, driven by this 1032 millibar high, cold air advection coming in that backside of the front, and also a pretty strong pressure gradient there in northern Nevada and Utah. So yeah, this will gradually be pushing some cold air southward. And then by Wednesday, we'll be looking at this high pressure across the Midwest down into Texas. There's a cold air advection right there, front backed up into the Rockies, and another system coming on shore there on the West Coast. For Thursday, storm system continuing to come on shore there. Looks like we got a bit of a Alberta clipper coming in. Very strong cold air advection, maybe some lake effect snows there in Michigan and Wisconsin. A little bit of a tropical system offshore. And lots of cool air moving southward there. Then for Friday, 1038 millibar high, pushing a lot of cool air south, but we're starting to develop some southerly flow there in the high plains. Next system coming in from Nevada very slowly. And then over the weekend, it looks like the main thrust of that system is up into the central U.S. Southerly flow getting established there in Texas again, so warming back up. There goes that system there through the Midwest. High pressure back in behind it. And then the next change is going to be this next system going mostly north around the 15th. And there it goes into the Minnesota area there. Cold air coming down into the Texas area and the southeast U.S. And then looks like we get a warm-up pretty quickly. And then the next big change comes around the 21st. And this is probably the true start of maybe possibly some winter weather. And I do say maybe. It looks like there is some cold air up to the north, but if we get back into another one of these zonal patterns, we could just see this pattern here prolong. And temperatures are above normal across a big chunk of the southern and pretty much a lot of the south there and even the east. And then over the next few days, you can see most of the cold air moves to the southeast. Some of it moves into Texas, but after Friday, things start warming back up, and then by early next week, Tuesday, about 60% of the country running above normal. And then parts of the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, about 20 degrees above normal on Wednesday. And just a lot of above normal weather, and 30 degrees above normal there at Des Moines on Tuesday the 21st. And this is where I'm saying maybe we could see a pattern change. Cooling down there in the northwest U.S. And let's see what the upper level patterns look like then. Yeah, a little bit of northwesterly flow developing there, so that's probably our next big hope there coming up around the third week of November. Okay, well, that's about all I got for today. I've got to get back to work on the book and hopefully get that done here very soon. So let me get my music lined up, and that's the only thing that I forgot here. Okay, there we go. Anyway, let's see here. Analysis of blizzard at 49. Yeah, you might want to send me an email because I'm probably going to forget. And all right, that's probably about all I got for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care and have a good evening.